Here's Brody Brazil.
This is probably going to be one of those videos where the underlying tone feels like, I told you so, but honestly, it's been so obvious to see this coming that with a shared situation at Sutter Health Park in Sacramento, when the A's moved in, that there would be some significant drop in Rivercats attendance in 2025, maybe 2026, and even into 2027 with the A's dual existence at this ballpark. The Rivercats have been around for multiple decades, but when there's something else to see and when the price difference of tickets isn't that great, people might want to go see the new thing. And even then, A's attendance has been surprisingly bad in Sacramento, like to the point where the attendance in Oakland last year in a lame duck final season is still better on average per game than what they've drawn basically here to the end of year one in Sacramento. But we're here mostly to talk about the drop in Rivercats attendance. Alex Simon of SFGATE did a great job in compiling all this information. I'll be sharing some of that here on the video. I'll link to the article down below. You can check it out in full for quotes and more. But in terms of Rivercats attendance, we take it back to last year. And you know what? Last year may be a good example. It might be a bad example. But last year, the AAA affiliate of the San Francisco Giants in all of their home games averaged about 5,400 fans. 5,463 was their average attendance last year. This season, through the first 63 home games, the Rivercats are seeing a drop of about 1,200 fans per game. They're at 4,241. That's a drop of 22+%. That is the biggest drop in all of minor league baseball from last season to this season, and by a pretty significant amount, by a couple hundred. If you go back and look at this list, nobody's necessarily even close here. Now, I do want to also throw in the caveat that minor league baseball attendance across the country saw a pretty significant dip this year to the tune of maybe 200 fans on average per team per game. We can make a separate video on that for another time. Like, minor league baseball had a certain distinct hit this year in attendance, but specifically with the Rivercats, the biggest drop in all of minor league baseball across the country. And again, is any of this shocking or surprising? The stadium that used to have just one team there, that used to go on road trips for a week or two at a time and then come back and play a bunch of games. Well, now that ballpark hosts a team, either a major league team or a AAA team, pretty much every day, minus when they had to fix the field, from April until almost the beginning of October. So it's a busy ballpark. There are options for Sacramento fans. And again, I'll make this point later too. This is not a knock against Sacramento fans to say, where are you at? What are you doing? This is a study of what happens when another team moves in and the Rivercats, to a large degree, are suffering. And I wonder where this trend is going. Alex Simon in the SFGATE article says, in the past, the Rivercats had been one of the best draws in the minor leagues, ranking either first or second in the minors from the time the park opened in 2000 as Raley Field until as recently as 2016. Well, which is a long time ago, but yeah, they had a significant run on attendance. They used to be the A's affiliate, then they switched to being the Giants affiliate, and obviously things just haven't been the same in recent years. Attendance started to dip in the late 2010s. That was the Giants affiliation, then cratered in the first year after the COVID-19 pandemic, with social distancing mandates impacting minor league teams all across the country. That is obvious and to be expected. But on the flip side here, if we're saying that A's attendance is crushing the Rivercats' existence, like, A's attendance hasn't been filling up the ballpark either. They're averaging, through their first 75 home games, 9,488 fans per game. And I told you this before, but I'll show it to you here as plain as day on the screen. Even last season in Oakland, with a big cavernous stadium, but with a lot of upset fans who were intentionally protesting, like they might go see a final game of the season, but pretty much that's it. Fans who were upset because they knew all of last season that it would be the final season in Oakland. Like, literally, they knew the entire year, and they still drew 11,528 on average in Oakland last year. Bigger ballpark. Yes, they did fill it up for the final game and the final couple games, but on average, still a lot more. And this is a ballpark in Sacramento, which has a capacity of 14,014. So to not even crack 10,000 on many nights, in fact, the A's have only surpassed 10,000 3 times in the second half of 2025. Now, some of that is to no surprise, a team that's not contending for anything, and then football season begins, and school gets back in session. But to the point, I mean, I said this for a lot of months and maybe almost a full year. If and when the A's go to Sacramento, if they don't sell out every single game at 14,014, like 10,000 seats and 4,000 more on the grass, it's not a good indication for Sacramento. I'm not saying of Sacramentans. I'm saying the situation, the team, the whole chemistry of it all, it just shows you that something isn't great, but something's not right here. Sacramento has the capability to get a lot more fans, to even out with Rivercats games attendance, and also to be selling out every A's home game. I mean, I said that was going to be an issue. We're going here on a first full season where have the sellouts been maybe as many as you can count on two hands? And there's fireworks night, and there's a couple Giants games, and the Red Sox have been in town, and the Yankees have been in town, but basically those are all the sellout games. That's it. I think opening night, and then even games 2 and 3, the attendance dipped. It blows my mind. So the Rivercats are suffering with attendance, and it's not even because the A's are having great attendance. And look at this from this past weekend. Chris Biederman was out there covering the induction ceremony of the Big Three to the Athletics Hall of Fame. That's Barry Zito, Mark Mulder, and Tim Hudson. And just like the ceremony's going on right here. This is not a setup photo. This is not something that's taken 20 minutes before and the crowd fills in. Like, look at the screen. The ceremony's going on right there. People at the podium. Looks like fireworks have just gone off. Like, that's how many people were there. Also, broadcaster Monty Moore, one of my favorites, one of the legendary A's broadcasters who actually reached out to me from time to time to encourage me on the work I was doing and covering the team. Monty Moore, great human being, great individual. They're all inducted into the Hall of Fame, and this is the actual reception they get attendance-wise. As Chris puts it, suffice to say, not many fans they played in front of, like in Oakland, made the trip. So there you go. For the final week of Rivercats home games, now we're going to be talking about ticket prices here because this is also a factor. It's not just supply and demand of two baseball teams. It's not just maybe positive and negative sentiments of the Rivercats versus the A's existence. But this is all about ticket prices, and this might play the biggest factor of it all. For the final week of Rivercats home games, tickets sold by the team. Now, this is not the secondary market, but tickets sold by the team for the 3 midweek games are $11.50 before taxes for a spot on the lawn. And they're as cheap as $22.95 for a physical seat. Okay, so those are midweek games. Tuesday night, Thursday night, whatever. Those are, I guess, decent prices. $11 for grass, $23 for a physical seat. On the weekend, those prices jump up to basically $20 for a lawn spot and almost $40 for an actual seat. There's a secondary market for these games, Rivercats tickets, but with far less inventory and only slight decreases in ticket prices. So maybe here the Rivercats are kind of doing this to themselves. Is there a way to lower those prices? Because those, to some degree, might even be major league prices. And you're still a AAA team playing in a AAA ballpark. Tickets to A's games bought directly from the team are more expensive than those prices, but the resale market has steadily been cheaper. That's because a lot of people bought season tickets to the A's, and they realized that the demand was not there. The demand that was promised is actually not there. So the secondary market, you can find a lot of season ticket holders trying to unload those tickets for probably less than face value because they just want to get rid of them and get something back. For one of the final weekend series against the Reds, physical seats come as cheap as $24 for a Sunday afternoon. So tickets to the A's games are cheaper than the Rivercats. Should the A's be doing that? Is there an agreement there? You'd have to think, I'm speculating, you'd have to think that these two teams are working on that part together, right? The A's are undercutting the Rivercats on ticket prices for afternoon games and have been as low as $3 throughout the summer. Tickets, physical seats, for $24 on a Sunday afternoon, and the tickets have been as low as $3 throughout various points of the summer. Like, that's a main reason why it's not what you're seeing, it's the price. You want to go out and enjoy a Sunday afternoon, which way are you going to do it? Big name opponents have drawn lofty ticket prices both from the team and the secondary market. And again, it's the Giants on 4th of July, it's the Red Sox, it's the Yankees. But the considerable spring hype over A's games having, quote, the most expensive ticket in MLB at their tiny home hasn't been the reality. And that's true, right? That was supposed to be the thing. That was supposed to be, hey, it's not quantity of seats we're going to sell. It's the amount. The prices are going to be through the roof. That's how it's going to benefit the A's. Like, this is also not a good financial situation for the A's if they are basically doing minor league type prices and trying to undercut the Rivercats as part of the process. Again, here are my takeaways, and I can't stress this enough. You cannot blame Sacramento fans for this effect and everything that's going on here. This is not normal. This is not natural. There's no playbook for this in Sacramento. To drop in a major league team for 3 years, a team who's saying, we're not going to claim Sacramento, but we are going to put a bridge patch on our shoulder. We are going to start selling some merch, even though we said we weren't going to do that. Like, Sacramentans are a bit confused. Do we push on this? Do we not care about this? Do we show more loyalty to the Rivercats because we know they'll always exist and they are loyal to us? Like, there's a lot of confusion here and there's a lot of different feelings. There's not one unified feeling in Sacramento. That's kind of the huge problem. Nobody has unified that effort. The A's are just kind of slipping in and they're going to hope to slide right out. But I would say this, if there's a criticism of Sacramento, like, why can't you support the Rivercats and the A's? Like, you're not big enough to, if you can't support these two teams in a 14,000, or really a 10,000 seat ballpark, how could you ever host Major League Baseball? You got to get 35,000 per night. Well, like in Milwaukee, it's a great team this year, but it's a small market, and they still average this year 31,000 per game. Could Sacramento do that if it was one major league team in town, one major league stadium? I think they could, but I don't know. And the A's existence here is not helping Sacramento make a case. I'll make that point at the very end. All of this is kind of clouding the future of MLB in Sacramento. Like, this is not making it clearer to see. This is only making it more cloudy. Expensive minor league ticket prices are not helping the issue. Like, the Rivercats might want to lower their prices, but also it feels like the A's should have higher prices, right? What happened to those higher prices? What happened to that differential here so that the A's were one thing, the Rivercats were another, and the A's would get their fans and the Rivercats would get their fans? Right now, the ticket prices are so close, it's kind of all merging into the same thing, and then people are like, well, I guess I'll just go to the major league game. Why wouldn't I? And that's what's hurting the Rivercats. Is this experience of the A's existence, is this costing the Rivercats? Like, are they taking a hit? Obviously, 22% on ticket sales. That can't be great for a minor league franchise and their operation and their revenue. That cannot be great. But do they have a partnership and a deal? Are they sharing revenue with the A's? Because if they are, then maybe they're doing better out of this situation. They're taking the hit on their own side, but they're gaining something else while the A's are in town. Could be possible. Got to be fair about that. But lastly, and the most important thing here, I think that's the takeaway of this video. It is about Rivercats attendance. It is about the A's and ticket prices and how they're very comparable. The A's are not doing anything to help Sacramento make a case here. They're just making it more confusing. They're not making a point. They're not making a stand of, hey, we can do this. Look what we did. What's Sacramento going to put its stamp on at the end of this season? How many sellouts did you have? What was the average attendance that you had? Your minor league team attendance dropped, and the major league team had its attendance drop from last season to this season. There's nothing to stand on here. There's no platform to stand on here if you're Sacramento. And I'm not saying that in joy or celebration. I'm saying this is the situation that has been like the bed that has been made for you. So we'll see how it goes in year 2 and year 3 and beyond. But as for this season, a huge drop in attendance for the Sacramento Rivercats. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Also, thumbs up while you're down there. Helps me and this video and this channel. And don't forget to subscribe. I would love to see you back here next time.